What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday to you. Hope you had an excellent weekend, a nice holiday weekend. Hope weather suited you well. I know it sure did for us, man. We had a really good cookout with the parents yesterday. Everything went super good. I hope you guys had the exact same experience. Austin, man, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great. Welcome everybody to the Sunday live stream. Me and Bronson have been having a killer week, and we're just so glad to be here and hang out with you guys on Sunday night. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Thule Society and kind of bridging that in with the Green Dragon Society that we talked about last week, and I'm very excited for this. How about you, Bronson? What are you thinking for this week?
Dude, I'm hype about it, bro. We had a really good time going over that Green Dragon Society, man. That was actually very fun. That was one I had never really heard of, never really understood anything about it, hadn't heard a whole lot of people talk about it. So to be able to do it with you, do it on a live stream, hang out with our friends while we do it, and have some people come in and give their thoughts on it was just a real special experience. And I'm looking forward to doing this Thule Society as well. I've talked to a handful of people about it. I have a friend of mine who lives over in Europe, and kind of listened to him just a little bit about some things, and you know, there's a lot here, man. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there's a whole lot here.
Absolutely. We'll take a second just to say what's up to X, say what's up to Rumble, say what's up to YouTube. I hope you guys have had a wonderful Memorial weekend thus far. I'm so glad that you were taking your time out of your weekend to hang out with us. It means the world to us, man. So, as always,
really
bro.
Do appreciate you guys holiday weekends and hanging out with little old us, man. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And let us know if you guys have watched that new biblical cosmology that we put out. Let us know what you think about it in the chat. We're really proud of it, and we hope it touched you guys and it gave you guys some info. And whether you believe like we do or not, at least it informed you a little bit why we do. So when you hear about these crazy, biblical cosmologists or flat earthers, which we're technically not, but when you hear about that, at least it'll give you a little bit of insight to, hey, these guys aren't crazy. They're just trying to follow the Bible the best they can. So whether you agree or not, at least it'll give you a little insight and maybe give you a little bit more understanding when you're talking to people, to hear people out and maybe consider that we don't have all the answers right off the hand. And if we don't, we should consider what the Bible says. We really should.
Exactly.
So we hope that that's the message we get across. We didn't want to be too preachy or beat anybody down that don't believe the way we do, but we wanted to at least express an honest opinion about what we believe and why we believe it, and show the Bible verses to back it up. So, Bronson, do we have anything in the chat? If not, let's get into some of these funny images and let's get a nice little icebreaker in. I know this week we pulled a lot from Christian memes and puns, so shout out to you guys. You guys were on fire this week.
That's awesome, man. But yeah, well, let's go ahead and head on over there, check them out, see what they got going on. I have it pulled up into our email that we've got here, so we're going to come down and find some little images that you've got saved up for us here. Now, these are all the ones you've sent over, correct?
It should be, let's see, that's 15 of them. Yeah, I did 15 of them this week, and most of them from Christian memes and puns. So we're not trying to rip you off, man. We're trying to, boost you up.
That's hilarious. This, bro, so y'all ain't cold? That's so funny, bro. Yeah, who looked at that picture? How did you even come up with that in your head, man? That's insane.
That's so funny.
Yeah, bro, y'all are working hard over there, Christian memes and puns, man. I would have never even thought of that, dude. That's so funny. This says, I rebuke that spirit of division right now in the mighty name of Jesus. Also, he said, amen. I also hate math. Yeah, while you're at it, man, go ahead and ban multiplication. That is too funny, bro. So if Southern ladies had been in charge of the yeah, they got Spiral Ham out there and everything, bro. Yeah,
man,
dude, that's too funny, bro. Biscuits and gravy, that's some chicken and dumplings, fried chicken.
Yeah, that's fact, bro. That's fact.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what, man. At this yesterday at my our parents' house, we all got together and ate a bunch of food, and I think for the first time in 28 years, all the food was gone. I'd never seen that happen before, ever. That's insane.
Everything was eaten, man. I went in to go get another plate and started looking around and saw some sagebrush, bro, through the kitchen. I was like, man,
Yeah.
take it all, man.
Yeah, bro, it's gone. Right. What is it? Not even the mouse, bro. It was like the Grinch stole Christmas, man. Not a crumb was left. It's too funny.
Man, I got the last little bit of baked beans and some barbecue chips, and I just had to like it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude. Let's see. This is Jesus' tomb. Yes. Oh, dude, that's actually so funny, bro. Hey, we got something in common, man. My bank account and Jesus' tomb, they both empty. It says Jesus sealing the deal for all hotels to have his book in the bedside drawer. Yeah, actually, that's so funny. That's actually really, really funny because, I when I was a kid, I didn't know it was like a thing. I thought like people were leaving their Bibles behind until I'd been to a couple hotels. Like, no, there's one in all of these rooms, man. There's something going on here. That's I wonder why they do that. You know, we're not a nation that really promotes Christianity the way we did, 100 years ago.
Let me put it, I think it's just a like out of a habit now, or maybe some kind of a deal between the Gideons. It's always the Gideon Bibles that are in there and stuff, and I think it's just a holdover. Because when I was a kid, it was more of a Christian country, and you had organizations like the Southern Baptist Conference and stuff that would come out and do rallies if they thought something was wrong. And there was stuff like that. You don't see it nearly as much as you used to, man. But it is a holdover from when I was a kid, and we actually had people that cared about making society more of a Christian society, and that our culture was a Christian culture, and did more outreach and stuff like that. You just don't see it nowadays now.
Right. And that's good to hear, man, because my instant thought, I watch my tongue because I know we're on a couple different platforms here, but my instant thought was that the Bible is there for the people who are, having a hard time, maybe not want to be here anymore. I figured they put them in there just for that. That's what I thought, at least. But
I'm sure it serves that purpose for sure. But I mean, as far as like the hotels allowing that in there, if we didn't have Bibles in there right now and somebody went in there and tried to do that, they'd say no, or you have to put the Quran and all that. You know what I mean? But, it's a holdover from the culture of when we actually were a Christian. It's at least that's still hanging in there.
Yeah,
sorry, that's not to zoom out too much. My fault.
Little relic from the past type of thing. That's interesting. This one says, in case you start thinking about the goodness of God in the shower. Oh wow. So one of the only waterproof instruments.
Yeah, everybody has that one lady at the church.
Everybody. Yeah. That's so funny, bro.
She has a fever. The only cure is wartavarine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, dude. Yeah. The church I went to when I was really little, there was two of them. Both of them sat on the front rows on either side of the aisle, and man, I don't know, man. They would play those things to the point where I tried it a couple times. Tried clapping with it in your hand the way you do. I hurt my hand, dude. I don't even know how they were able to do that with so much power.
Yeah, they beat those things into submission, man.
Oh, dude, yeah, they were praising with all their might and all their strength. See, girls are paying $135 to look like they attended the last. Oh no, the Birkenstock Jerusalem Cruisers. That's hilarious. Yeah, bro. Oh, dude, that's hilarious.
The Air Max Hot 2s.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, exactly, bro. The Desert Dunks, man. That's too funny. So, Lord, please give me a sign on what I should do. The Lord, man, do them dishes, bro.
What's first of all? Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're filthy, bro. That's too funny, man. Paul, imitate me as I imitate Christ. That's a big facts, bro. I'm just a doodle bob, man. I don't know why my line has 5 legs, but it's accurate. We're just so off kilter. Nothing is correct. Bro, that is too funny, man. I guess we're walking in shoes that are impossible to fill. You know what I mean? There's just no way. No way. So my parents in their 30s, let's buy a house. Me in my 30s, another chapter in Yo, if that ain't the truth, bro.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I swear, I remember being in 6th grade and somebody asked me something. I can't remember if it was a teacher, janitor, guidance counselor, whatever. Some adult had asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I was like, man, what's it matter, bro? The world's ending in like 5 years anyway, so what do I care? That's really how it's felt my entire life, bros. Every time you turn around, there's a new war, the end is coming, the apocalypse is here. What's the point, man? That's too funny,
Right.
bro.
Yeah, you black people out, man, with all the craziness going on. Just like we said in the last video, really the only white pill is Jesus, man, and trusting in the scriptures.
That's it, bro.
If you can't trust in the scriptures, man, I mean, if you can't have that faith and just have the childlike faith with that, man, there's not a whole lot there. And you go into history, even, I mean, it's like two guys for like 1,200 years. You know, I'm being a little, over dramatic with that, but still, I mean, it's like you look into it, it's like, man, what can I really trust? You know, you gotta trust in the word, man. Or you end up like that guy at the bottom, all burned out and just wigging out.
Yeah, man.
Or you're oblivious, one of the two, man. And I couldn't be oblivious, so I gotta trust in the word, man, or I will be the guy at the bottom.
Yeah, that's the last thing I want. I don't want a beard that looks like a grill cleaner. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of happiness and joy comes from Jesus Christ, you know? Oh my gosh, man. Let's see, when your pastor preaches on being friends to the people that nobody wants to be friends with, and suddenly the whole congregation wants to shake your hand after the service, I have a fear that if I went to church, I would be that Kermit, man. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for being nice. I appreciate your kindness, whether it's forced or not. Oh my gosh. Connor says, Bronson, I sometimes hear you echo, but I think it's... Yeah, more than likely, yeah. As long as it's not super bad or super distracting, just let me know if it gets super bad there, Connor Rain. Let's see. This says, people, you can't expect to eat junk food, never work out, and get abs. This says, me. Well, first of all, through God, all things are possible. So go ahead and jot that down. Yeah, put that down in your little handy-dandy notebook there, pal. All things are possible. I can eat junk food and get abs. I can abstain from exercise. You know what was the straightest man in the Bible? The straightest man, Joseph was. Pharaoh made a ruler out of me. That's such a bad joke. Yeah, you deserve to be choked for that, bro. That's horrible. So I want to see an episode of Undercover Boss with Jesus visiting Joel Osteen's church. Oh, man. That's brilliant. Right. Hats off to you guys, bro. That is a brilliant idea. That's so funny, man. And maybe I'm not gonna say that was too mean. It's on the borderline of sacrilegious. I'll keep that thought to myself. Adam, to everyone new he meets in heaven, let me just say from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, bro, he's been sitting there by the gates for like hundreds and hundreds of years. Welcome to heaven, my bad. Welcome to heaven, my bad. Nice to meet you. I'm sorry. Dude, that is too funny, bro. I can't imagine, you know what I mean? And I've said it before in other episodes that, we give Adam and Eve a really, really hard time, but, it's hard to know. It's really hard to know. I mean, we sin all the time, bro. All the time as humans. I can't imagine what really that was like in their world, that temptation of that one thing right there. Not happy that they did it, but man, I can't imagine what it was like, bro.
Yeah, man. It's a lot, man. I will say that Christian Memes and Puns really did a great job this week, man. They had some real bangers out there, so I was sharing them with everybody. And like I said, go give them a follow. I know we're streaming on X, YouTube, and Rumble. Guys, we communicate through X. So if you don't have an X account, you want to be a part of the community, please come over there and create one. Give us a follow over Ancient Echoes 1 on X. So yeah, come over there and follow us, guys. We try to interact with everybody within the community. It's a small community, but we try to interact with everybody that we can and get input on videos coming up and all that. So If you want to be a part of the fam, be a part of the team, and have some say of what we put out, come over to X and give us a follow and give us a message, man. We'd love to hear from you.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, love that type of community, man. Love that fellowship. It's definitely a blessing every time we get the opportunity to take part in that. So nice, so nice. Well, tonight, man, we have got something very, very special in store. I'm excited to go over this. It has actually been, I don't know, a couple of years. It's been some time since I've actually gone through the Thule Society. I have a lot of memories from this, but I think when I first learned about this, I was probably like maybe 19 or 20. So it's been maybe 8 or 9 years since I've actually taken the time to walk through this. So this is be a walk down memory lane for me, and I'm sure in that amount of time I'm going to learn something new tonight as well. So I hope you guys get to do the same. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get started, man?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with some clips, and we're not going to dive into it all the way. We're going to get as much as we can in a little bit of time. This is something that actually we could probably do a 2-3 hour video on. We're going to cover some of the basics, and some of this you may have heard before, but we're going to throw a couple little curveballs in there as well. So let's check out that first clip. And guys, if you want us to do a super deep dive where we go into all the old text and everything, put it in the comments, and we will do a full Thule Society or Thule Society, whatever you want to call it. We will do a full standalone video, but just let us know if that's something you're interested in. All right, let's get into that first clip, man. It's about a minute long. I believe it's got like a pink or a pale screen on it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, bro. Let's see. This one right here.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, perfect. And this is just a little surface level icebreaker for you guys. So let's check it out.
Excellent. Just make sure I got all my soundboards and everything right. And hopefully this is coming through loud and clear. Oh, okay. After a mythical island in Greek mythology. Check out that building over there. Influencing political and cultural movements around the world, even to this day. That should,
yeah.
That's interesting, to say the least. That should be a pretty big red flag there. Yeah. It is to me, at least.
Well, here's the thing, is that this ties in directly to that Green Man Society or the Green Dragon Society and the Green Men. And if you guys remember from last week, it talked about the Green Men were in astral communication for hundreds of years with the Green Dragon Society. So that linked the occult societies of the East and the West. They're linking Europe to Asia, and they've been in communication, sharing, occult knowledge for hundreds of years. And that's what we learned last week. Now, one of these societies that was in the East in Germany was the Thule Society. And basically their whole thing was to manipulate Vril and to use Vril, which would be like the Eastern version of Chi or Prana. It's like elemental or earth energies that they're trying to manipulate. And that was like the basis, just a very surface level thing, the basis of the Thule Society. So let's go ahead and go into this wiki and let's read a little bit and just give a good base understanding. Then we'll get into a little more of the esoteric.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so this is the Thule Society. It's a German word, and it's a group for Germanic antiquity. It was a German occultist and Volksgeist group founded in Munich shortly after World War I, named after a mythical northern country in Greek legend. The society is notable chiefly as the organization that sponsored the German Workers' Party, which was later reorganized by, the man, Adolf Hitler, into the National Socialist German Workers' Party. According to Hitler biographer Ian Kershaw, the organization's membership list reads like a who's who of early Nazi sympathizers and leading figures in Munich, including Rudolf Hess, okay, we know that name, Alfred Rosenberg, Hans Frank, Julius Lehmann, Gottfried Fredier, Dietrich Eckart, and Karl Herrer. I don't recognize any of those except for the Hess. Author Nicholas Goodrick Clark contends that Hans Frank and Rudolf Hess has been Thule members, but other leading Nazis had only been invited to speak at the meetings, or they were entirely unconnected with it. According to John's Herring, there is no evidence that Hitler ever attended the Thule Society. So we've already got a little bit of contradictions here, people arguing, going back and forth to see who's who and where's what and who are members. What are your thoughts on some of that, Austin, as we progress down this page here?
Well, that's the thing, is when you get into the world wars, whether it's one or two, everything becomes very convoluted, and there's, different points that are argued back and forth. I mean, even to the point of Hitler's death. I mean, that has been a condition for a long time, and I believe that that's been solved, like, without a shadow of a doubt, that he did not commit suicide in a bunker in Berlin. He actually escaped to Argentina. And with the release of the documents recently, we've seen that. So, I mean, even to, like, what happened to Hitler, we've been either lied to or we've been misled, or, from the very beginning. So it's very tough to tell whether Hitler was involved with the Thule Society or not. Now, when it comes to Himmler, however, it's not really in question. He seems to be the driving force between searching for these ancient artifacts and the more occultic, supernatural side of the SS and the Black Sun rituals and all that type of stuff. There is much more evidence that points that it was really Himmler that was more invested in that side of it. Do I think Hitler was involved in it? Yeah, absolutely, I do. I don't think he was not. I mean, the rhetoric he was, saying, if you understand Aryanosophy or anything like that, and you go back and look at the speeches, either he had a speechwriter that was, definitely involved in this, or he was involved in this.
Right.
Because the concepts and the things that he's saying link directly back to this. So either it's, the speechwriter or Hitler himself, but there was definitely a tie there. And I just have a feeling that somebody wasn't sliding things in Hitler's speeches without him understanding what it was. Just personally, I have that feeling, you know what I mean? So it's debatable, but I don't think it's that debatable. But if you want to talk to somebody who's more of a skeptic, if you're talking about this subject, I would just stick with Himmler, because that's far more verifiable than Hitler. But if you take all of the evidence from the speeches to, just the way things moved, it's pretty obvious that this was the philosophy of Hitler as well.
Okay, yeah. Well, last week when we were going over the Green Dragons and the Green Men, one thing that we saw was that there was black dragons and then there was green dragons, and that one side was handling things on a political stage that people were well aware of, and then you had another side of them that were handling things in the esoteric, spiritual, mysticism type of realm. Do you think that there is a chance here that we just had both of those things going on? And you're right that when it comes to World War II and even World War I as well, you have clashing propaganda. No, you're lying. No, you're lying. And it's hard to find the truth.
Well, they say that the first casualty of war is always the truth. So the fog of war and all that, they're sayings for a reason. It's hard to tell. But when you take all the circumstantial evidence, all the things that were said, and also you got to keep in mind, they were having these big expeditions everywhere. Do you think that wasn't being approved by the by the Führer? I mean, yeah, all those expeditions had to be, approved from the highest ranks. I mean, they had, Nazi battalions traveling with them. So, I mean, they had to approve all the men and the resources and the money. And, I mean, there's no way you could do all the things that they were doing and did not get back to the Führer or somebody in his, in his circle. Right. So, just to me, I don't know, maybe I'm not, the end all be all on the way the Nazi hierarchy worked, but just to me, if you're a dictator, you would think that you have a handle on things that big going on,
Right, you'd be in the know more than likely. And yeah, I think you got a solid point on that, especially because when you're talking about expeditions, you're not just talking about, seizing land and going into battle and wars. There's so much there about going after the Holy Grail or looking for Atlantis or underground cities or headed off to Antarctica. I'm sure he was aware of it.
Also, you got to think about language barriers and stuff like that too. They had to send translators and all that type of stuff with them as well. I mean, these are big expeditions. You're not doing this without approval from your government and lots of funding. And I mean, it's just, to me, it's ridiculous to think that Hitler didn't know about these expeditions or wasn't approving them, or at least in the know in some sort of fashion.
Right.
Now, when we talked about the Black Dragon Society being more of the political arm, and then we talked about the Green Dragon Society being more of the hidden, esoteric, spiritual arm, yeah, you see the same thing in Nazi Germany. The Nazi Party is the political party. That's what you're seeing.
For sure.
And then behind that is the Thule Society and the Green Men and all that. That's the that's the other side of it. So you're looking at the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you're seeing the more political war arm within the Nazis. That's the Black Dragons in the East. Then you see the more esoteric arm. That's the Thule Society in the West. And then in the East is the Green Dragon Society.
Right.
So you're seeing the same thing here. It's the same operation. You have the basic one, and then you have the one that's in the background dealing with the spiritual realm and more esoteric things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It's the same thing since the beginning, man. It's always the kingship and the priesthood working in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through societies or whether it's in a royal court, it's the same setup. It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
King David had prophets. Solomon had prophets. Moses and Aaron went in. The Pharaoh of Egypt had his own magicians that were doing things as well. And they obviously
Nebuchadnezzar had his soothsayers and all
Magi.
that. It's always, you always have the kingship and then the priest class right underneath it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So when we look at the origins here at this Thule Society, it was originally a German study group headed by Walter Naus, and it was a wounded World War I veteran turned art student from Berlin who had become a keeper of pedigrees for the Order of the Teutons. I guess I'm saying that right. That is also a secret society founded in 1911 and formally named in the following year. In 1917, Naus moved to Munich. His Thule Society was to be a cover name for the Munich branch of the Teutons. But events developed differently as a result of a schism in the order. Okay, yep. In 1918, Naus was contacted in Munich by a man named Rudolf, an occultist and newly elected head of the Bavarian province of the schismatic offshoot known as the Holy Grail, those guys. The two men became associates in a recruitment campaign. And that guy adopted Naus's Thule Society as a cover name for his Munich lodge. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so we have a schism and then a joining of two more parties afterwards is where we're getting our origin of this group here. And we've already got occultists being littered throughout the page. So let's come down just a little bit more just to see what do these guys really think. Let's see. The primary focus of their society was a claim concerning the origins of the Aryan race. 1917, people who wanted to join the Germanic order, out of which the Thule Society developed in 1918, had to sign a special blood declaration of faith concerning their lineage. Interesting. So, the signer hereby swears to the best of his knowledge and belief that no J or colored blood flows in either his or in his wife's veins, and that among their ancestors are no members of the colored races. Okay. So this wasn't... when I saw blood declaration of faith, I thought they were like, getting into... I was like, man, I don't know if I could join that club. Let's see. Thule was a land located by Greco-Roman geographers in the farthest north, often displayed as Iceland. The Latin term Ultima Thule is also mentioned in Roman poet Virgil in his pastoral poems called the Georgics. Thule originally was probably the name for Scandinavia, although Virgil simply uses it as a proverbial expression for the edge of the known world, and his mention should not be taken as a substantial reference to Scandinavia. The Thule Society identified Ultima Thule as a lost ancient landmass in the extreme north near Greenland or Iceland, said by Nazi mystics to be the capital of ancient Hyperborea. Now we're talking. Now this sounds a lot like Ancient Echoes to me, man. Now we're getting into some crazy stuff. Wow.
Yeah. Now we're getting into the Hyperborea and all that type of stuff. Let's do it, and let's just so we can pull up. Let's pull up Hyperborea real quick, just so people can understand what that is.
For sure.
I think the Mercator map shows it more than any other map or anything like that.
Yeah. So just a quick overview. In Greek mythology, the Hyperboreans were a mythical people who lived in the far northern part of the known world. Their name appears to derive from the Greek beyond Boreas, the god of the north wind. Some scholars prefer derivation means to carry over. So right here, this is the Mercator map, and if we're looking for Hyperborea, where do you think we would find it?
I believe what they posit is that that yellow circle there would be Hyperborea.
I see. Okay.
And then and then right there in the middle you have the mountain there that's in the middle of that map. A lot of people posit that that's Meru. I've seen some people say they think that's Mount Zion. There's a lot of people that believe that this is actually the true map of what the North Pole looks like. Now that goes against everything nowadays, but just letting you know that's a belief that's out there. But this would be, the Hyperborean lands to the north.
Right. Yeah, this is a very interesting map indeed, because you've got these 4 rivers that come out, and it looks a lot like what you see in Genesis for the Garden of Eden. And this is a very old map. Yeah, this is what 1500s.
Probably so. Then it's like 1539 or something like that.
Yeah.
I could be off by.
So you can actually see in this map some very interesting names. Like over here, you have California, and this one is not letting me zoom in the way I'd prefer to. But if you find you a Mercator map and take you some time to really dig into it and look at some of the names on there, it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. This mountain here, I've often wondered, if we could find this mountain, if this would perhaps be the place that Satan took Jesus to, where they look out among the world. I'm of the camp of people that thinks that the mountain that Satan took Jesus to was not a mountain in Israel. I think that there was some type of whirlwind, teleportation, flying carpet, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that they were in Israel on that mountain. So just a fun little thought there.
No, I will say this, man. That mountain there, that's something we've talked about too when we talk about Lucifer trying to ascend to above ascend to the sides of the north and all that type of stuff. In that story about Lucifer, we've posited the idea that happened as well. He tried to ascend. There's some kind of portal there, or one of the windows to heaven is there, and he tried to ascend there, and God smacked him down.
Yeah.
Because if you look at that story of Lucifer, it's not a story of descension. It's a story of attempting to ascend from earth and then getting cast back down.
I think so.
When you go through that story, it doesn't start in heaven. It starts on the earth.
Yeah,
and you see where he talks about he will ascend, and he will ascend. He tries to ascend in the sides of the north.
Right.
So this would be the truest of norths that there could be.
Yeah.
So just some food for thought there. I know this isn't the Lucifer video here, but I just thought I'd point that out while we are here and talking about this mountain in the middle of right here in the Mercator map.
Well, I think that's what. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, as far as the ancient mind goes with Hyperborea, this would be what they were thinking of when that's mentioned.
Right. Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I think that's what adds a lot of the legacy, a lot of the legend and mythos around this mountain is all the different things that it could be. Whether you want to call it Mount Olympus, or you want to say that this is, the mountain that Lucifer was, I too will ascend above the clouds, the clouds. Yeah. that's pretty low to ascend above, you know what I mean? I too will make my seat in heaven above, and I too shall sit as God. I don't know. I think that looking for a place like that is wow. If I ruled the world, you know, Nas, if I was like Hitler ruling the world and I was looking for something to do, yeah, that might be a fun place to start. You know what I mean? Let's, you know, check that place out. And there's precedence for that.
Yeah.
You know, in Genesis with Jacob's ladder, and you can see, you know, spirits ascending and descending, angels coming in and up and above. And I don't know, man. That's a fun little topic we could go on for quite some time, but very interesting to say the least. Yep, it sure is. But that's Hyperborea, and so when we're saying this here, that the Thule Society over in Nazi Germany, they identified the Ultima Thule as a lost ancient landmass in the extreme north, that's what Austin's talking about, said by Nazi mystics to be the capital of ancient Hyperborea. So, this is our last statement here, their dissolution, and it says that Hitler moved to the Service Party link with the Thule Society, which subsequently fell into decline and was dissolved about 5 years later, well before Hitler came to power. Now that's, you know, whatever you want to believe, man.
That's a little debatable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this society that was clearly operating with Himmler and within his, look, guys, we're using Wikipedia, so take everything with a grain of salt. Sometimes it's just silly because we're about to get into Maria Orsic and Vril and all kinds of stuff, so just hang tight with us, and we got some more clips.
Right.
But just really, when we go through this Wikipedia stuff, like everything else tonight that we're about to look at completely disagrees with that.
Right.
And honestly, I'm just gonna say I completely disagree with that. That's honestly ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, right here actually kind of goes along with what you were just saying. This is nonetheless, it has been argued that some Thule members and their ideas were incorporated into Nazi Germany. Some of the Thule Society's teachings were expressed in the books of Alfred Rosenberg. Many occult ideas found favor with Heinrich Himmler, who had a great interest in mysticism, unlike Hitler. But the SS under Himmler emulated the structure of Ignatius Loyola's Jesuit order rather than the Thule Society, according to Home. Conspiracy theories. The Thule Society has become the center of many conspiracy theories concerning Nazi Germany due to its occult background, like the Annaberg. Such theories include the creation of Vril-powered Nazi UFOs. That's insane. Yeah, that's a mouthful just to even say it. Vril-powered Nazi UFOs. It's just like a nightmare, bro. That's goodness gracious. That's something like a liberal wakes up from cold sweats about. You okay, buddy? There's Vril-powered Nazi UFOs. Bad dream. You know what I mean?
That's Trust you, Air Force One is a real passive.
So what do you want to go to next, man? We're on YouTube Short, or do you want to go on over to X and look at some other stuff?
We'll do this little guy. He doesn't really have a whole lot of info, but just to show some of the symbolism and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pump this volume up all the way, my friend. So if this is super duper loud, you guys just let me know. Bump it up. All right, here we go.
Was the Thule Society. It was an esoteric discussion group of which they discussed the origins of the Aryan race. They believe that the pure Germans, or the Aryans, emerged from a mythical land called Thule, or a mythical land called Hyperborea mentioned by the ancient Greeks, and they would study it alongside their peers. But what they would really discuss was the eradication of the Jewish race, as well as the eradication of communists from German society. As well, they would also gather paramilitaries and try to overthrow Jewish prime ministers of Bavaria. Notably, they would try to assassinate Kurt Eisner, the prime minister of Bavaria, was in the Weimar Republic. And after they failed, over 8 members were killed by the Weimar Republic, of which they believed they were martyrs in German society. They believed that they appealed too much to the rich aristocrats and started to appeal to the lower class people, like the working class. Which is why the Thule Society eventually became the Deutsches Arbeiterparty, which would be joined by young Adolf Hitler, and he would form. This was the Thule Society.
So, can I ask you a question? I don't actually know.
Society. As well, they would also gather paramilitaries and try to overthrow Jewish prime ministers of Bavaria. Notably, they would.
This guy here, he was a Jewish prime minister of Bavaria.
I know he's Jewish.
Well, yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Outside of that, I can't speak the accuracy of the photo, but I can confirm he is Jewish.
Okay, got you. Very, very cool, man. Very, very cool. So, you know, we've got information going back and forth here, man. Some people are saying that they were disassembled. Some people saying that they carry on under new names, new leadership.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. There is a castle. I believe the castle is in Poland. It may be in Poland, but let's pull up that castle that was a base for the SF.
Sure.
You actually shared the floor of this in the thumbnail.
Oh yes, indeed, yes. Dude, what's the name of that castle? Hold on.
I can't remember it off the top of my head. My apologies, guys. I should have had it.
It's killing me. Oh yeah, Welsburg. Yeah, Wesselberg. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, let's pull that up. This was, you know, they put this black sun in the floor during, you know, during when the Nazis were in power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and pull it up. Yeah. So you want to tell me it was dissolved before this? So what? They just thought it was pretty. I mean, they're putting these occult symbols into the floors. You know what I mean? In stone.
Trying to get like a wiki here. There's something that's just, you know, journal information, not like a tourist guide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, this isn't hidden information. This isn't widely known. I just think it's funny that, oh no, that this society and this belief system was totally gone before the Nazis. No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, what the thing is, man, is that names change and things change all the time. You know what I mean? Like we can think of 10,000 examples right now of different religions that have carried on throughout the years just under a different name or a different, different ruler.
You can find what you're looking for by putting interior in the search bar, and it'll come up.
Sure, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
There it is. Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
If you go up to the top, yeah, that one, there it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that belief system was totally eradicated before the Nazis.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I mean, man. It's like, there's no way. There's no way. Now, if you go down to the basement, that's where that picture was, where all those guys standing in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's in that basement. You know, the picture that you just had pulled up on the other page, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder what it costs to go to this place. I wouldn't mind giving it a shot just to go by.
Oh, I'd love to go, man. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah. Wow. Well, the thing is you know, the symbology is crazy. I mean, it kind of looks like resembles the square and compass to me, just looking at it anyway. And so many things over the years just adopt new names as things evolve. You know, for instance, we were reading earlier about, you know, the Socialist Party that Hitler ends up adopting and makes a new name for it. You know what I mean? They make these little changes, and therefore we make a new name for it. You know, we had the Nazis that came over from Operation Paperclip, and they've created new things here. Like, one would argue that instead of the word propaganda, we now use the word media. You know, there's a lot of different examples out there. You know, there's a lot of different examples out there of how a school of thought evolves over time, and how, of course, the names and the things that it's referred to also evolves with it. And I don't think that you could safely rule that out as a possibility when it comes to any of these societies like this. Me personally.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into a little bit before we go to Antarctica. We can do Antarctica and Admiral Byrd if you'd like, because this ties directly into this.
Sure.
But let's look into Maria Orchitz, and let's look into. Well, actually, this is good. Yeah, let's go through this one real, because I think this one is a little bit more studious than the wiki is.
Okay.
Oh, it's from Wikipedia, so okay, so this would be the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just did they?
Well,
Okay.
here's a couple of different things. No, it's not quite the same. Like right here in Belize, where it says the primary focus of Thule was a claim concerning the origins of the Aryan race. Thule was a land. Yeah, we've all read all this. The Thulists believed in the hollow earth theory. The Thule Society counted among its goals the desire to prove that the Aryan race came from a lost continent, perhaps Atlantis. We'll come down. Attracted about 250 followers in Munich and about 1,500 in Greater Bavaria. Its meetings were often held in the still existent Munich Luxury Hotel, the Four Seasons. Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. Very interesting. See, and the Thule Society bought a local weekly newspaper. See what I'm saying? What you called propaganda once, we now call media. You know what I mean? It's the same strategies, bro. And changed its name to the that name. That's a long name. Loosely translates to the Munich Observer and the Sport Report, in an attempt to improve its circulation. And that paper later became the People's Observer. Wow, the main Nazi newspaper. It was edited by Karl Harrer. Okay, so yeah, okay, so we saw his name earlier today. Very interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay, so you've got some people that are going out on expeditions. Carl is out here being in charge of newspaper and information distribution, is what it seems like. It's very interesting, man. I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
I'll watch my tongue for YouTube, but I swear the people on Rumble, y'all know where I'm getting at with this, man. It's looking real similar to the reality I live in today. How it seems to be there's one big club that's taking care of all the information that we're receiving.
Right. That's it's always the same, man.
It's the same thing, bro. In 1919, the Thule Society, Anton Drexler, who had developed links between the society and various extreme right workers, organizations in Munich together with Karl Harrer, established the DAP, here we go, the German Workers' Party. Adolf Hitler joined this party in 1919, and by April 1st, 1920, the DAP had been reconstituted as the National Socialist Workers' Party. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, man. Very interesting. So if he was a part of this and he was kind of getting into what they were thinking, you know, flat Earth is, or not flat Earth, excuse me, hollow Earth seems to be on the ticket for belief there.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and back out of this for a minute, and let's just take it from the top. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of where this belief comes from. Okay.
All right.
So, starting with the Atlantis mindset. Okay, I'd like to do a watch party. There's a Manly P. Hall. He's an occultist and a Freemason. He's eulogized as Freemason's greatest philosopher when he died.
Right.
There's a Manly P. Hall lecture about Atlantis, and I think this would open the eyes of exactly what is being talked about when we talk about Atlantis. Because a lot of people have like this Disney idea of it, and a lot of people have this other idea of it. But really, what it is at its core is this, okay? And this is where all of this kind of philosophy stuff branches out of this idea of Atlantis, okay? That Atlantis in the esoteric mind was not just like some island that got sunk. It was a empire, right? That had its base in Atlantis, right? But it was a worldwide system that went out and taught society. And within the occult mindset, they believed that Atlantis sent out emissaries, and that's where you get your Mayan civilization from. That's where you get your Egyptian civilization from. That's where you get your original Greek civilization from, okay? Like your prehistory Greeks. And where that story of Atlantis comes down from is from Solon to Plato. Okay, and it's talking, and what it is a story that's told to Solon through the priest in Egypt about where they come from, and different cataclysms are mentioned and all that. And so starting with that Atlantis, it goes, and we're going to jump way ahead, okay? We'll jump way ahead from there just to get where we're at with the Thule Society. Then you have Helena Blavatsky that travels around and talks to all these different occultists and pagans and develops this system called Theosophy. Okay, and that branches off of the Aryan races and the 7 root races and a lot of what you see with the more esoteric mindset and really Eastern religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, all of that comes from this culture.
Yeah.
And so what they posit is that the Vedic culture, the Scythians, were an offshoot of the Atlanteans that developed all these cultures, and they took it down into India, and that branched out and became Hinduism and Buddhism. And according to Blavatsky, Tibetan Buddhism is the closest to the ancient Aryan religion. Okay, so that ancient Aryans is what ties back to that Atlantis philosophy, and then that's what ties to Theosophy, and then Hitler takes it a step further to Aryanosophy, and that's the Thule Society and dealing with the real and all that. So that's where we're at today.
Mhm.
So I wanted to give a quick little map, and obviously that's very surface level, but that's where we're at. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where the Atlantis ties into it and all that, and Hitler looking for the Aryans and the lost Aryan race and all that. It ties directly back into that ancient Atlantis kind of philosophy within occultic systems. Okay, so I'm sorry, I know that was a mouthful.
No, I love
but
that.
just in case anybody's lost, how does Atlantis tie into this? That's how it goes back to that. It's the basis of all that theosophy and all that is that Atlantean empire falling and spreading out and dispersing and spreading their culture to everywhere in the ancient world, whether it's the Sumerians or the Egyptians or the Maya or whoever it may be. That they think is the basis for that culture is spreading out from that cataclysm in Atlantis.
Okay.
And that's, ties us back up to where we are today.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here. When we get into the goals and the objectives of the people that were believing this and were in search for this, to my understanding, the whole entire goal was to recreate the Atlantean race. Is that incorrect?
To recreate the ancient Aryan race and to reestablish the Ubermen that were even rumored within Hinduism and Buddhism to be like a race of superhumans that live under the earth, that live and they're in contact with the Dalai Lama. Now, we talked about it last week with the Master of the World and the Green Gloves guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like the intermediary, and they said the Master of the World gave direct instructions to the Dalai Lama. You know what I mean? So what you're looking at is this belief that this race of superhumans, basically like demigods, that live, that are under the earth and have their kingdom under the earth, and Agartha and Shambhala is the capital, or that's really what we're looking at here. Is they're looking for the ancient civilization that had the Vedic civilization, the Atlanteans and the Lemurians and the Hyperboreans. They're looking for those ancient civilizations that they believed were underground. So that's what we're looking for. They're looking for those civilizations to get the technology and to interbreed with them and to become a race above what the human race is here on Earth.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go and ask.
When they get there, you know what I'm saying? Let's say, the Nazi military or their excursion teams or whatever you want to call it, their expeditions. Let's say they find it. Let's say they arrive. What do you think their first move is to do? I mean, do you think it'd take us to your leader? Do you think they would be welcome? Do you think they've already been in contact with these people through an astral realm? I mean, that's kind of a weird question. I get it, but
it's a tough question because I don't know what the information they had when they got there was. I don't know what they have to offer. What they can say, hey, look, this is where we can trace our lineage back to. We believe that we are your ancestors. Mm-hmm. We have these documents here, this document's here, this document's here, and this is as far as we are with technology. We can offer this, this, and this. What can you offer us? That's what I assume.
Yeah.
You go into any kind of diplomatic thing with gifts, usually with an offer, like an offer of a future gift or a service rendered or something like that, and a request for either technology, resources, or something like that, and some kind of a trade bartership. So I don't know what they took down there, and I don't know exactly what they wanted. But I assume that's the basis, because that's usually how things go with diplomacy. It's usually a gift, an offer of a future service, or a gift, or a resource, or something like that, and a request for a service or a gift or natural resource, something like that. That's how it goes. And then also, if you're talking about the ancient world, it's usually an offer of marriage to combine the two kingdoms through the bloodline.
Right.
So, was there an offer of that? I don't know.
What makes you wonder, did he find some type of crazy artifact? Did he find the Holy Grail? Did he find something he knew, if I get down there, this is a great bartering chip? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to kill me. They're not going to hurt me because I've got something really good.
Or at least I could say, hey, what do I do with this?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So I don't know what they had or what they went down there for, but that's the standard protocol for diplomacy. It seems to be. So, what could it have been? Mine can only wonder. But that's what I assumed the conversation went like. Was, hey, here's who we are. Here's what we have to offer. Here's what we can offer. What can you do for us? I assume that's how it went.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow,
now,
very
what about communicating in the astral realm? That could have very well been the case. So I don't know where they were at when they got there. We saw that they went to the area we pulled up with Mount Kalish. We said that was a pretty good spot, and it appeared to, even when we asked AI, it appeared that it seemed they went there. So what they went there with or what they left there with, I don't know, man. That's my best guess of how that conversation went.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. That was as good as I got.
Yeah, that's kind of a tricky question, man. I don't know if anybody really knows or how you could possibly get that information. More or less kind of an opinionated, loaded question type of thing. But yeah, no, I mean, if you're going to continue that route, we're talking about how diplomacy works and how negotiations work. Usually you would send some type of messenger first, you know what I mean? I want to make sure that when this exchange takes place, you've got what I want and I've got what you want. So let's really try to build up some rapport first. So maybe we talk through the astral realm. Maybe we send messengers in person at first, and we really make sure that we're good to go on this deal. So
yeah, the last thing you want to do is go down to the inner earth and get Sparta kicked out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that'd be a lot of work for nothing.
Yeah, you want to go with all the finest of gifts the first time.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. You get one shot at this one. You know what I mean? You better bring your A game, bro.
Let's check out a little bit about the Vril.
Sure.
A little bit about that. And we'll talk some about the Antarctic stuff. And like I said, we're just doing surface level. We can go way deeper on this, so just let us know. So let's do Vril, Maria Orsage, and then let's talk about the Antarctic stuff.
Very cool. So I've got this here. It says the very rare documentary Vril and the Thule Society, Antarctica Advanced Civilizations. Is this where you want to go?
Well, this is 46 minutes, so I mean, if we want to skim through it a little bit, but I apologize for sending that to you. That is very long.
No, it's all right. Let's just kind of take a look and see where we got here. This looks crazy. What is this?
Hermes Trismegistos taught that everything in the universe is set up according to the same organizational plan. One could say that the Earth is like a huge atom, hollow inside, with a nucleus at the center which represents the...
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is a documentary being told from their perspective and their belief. Is that correct?
From what I remember, I only skimmed through this, man. I had to save for a couple weeks.
Very interesting.
Just as we humans...
Wow, this is kind of like a piece of treasure here from history.
Until the sinking of Atlantis, this was general knowledge.
Wow.
A race of godlike beings.
Yeah.
Now you see what they said. Until the sinking of Atlantis, this is common knowledge that you got to remember this. They take this all back to Atlantis. Okay?
Yeah. Very serious for them.
At least 9,000 years before the time of the peoples of Athens. He also speaks of how the great historian Solon refers to Egypt as a colony of Atlantis. It is clear from evidences we have recently made in Mesoamerica, specifically in Guatemala, with the ancient canal system that we have uncovered through remote sensing radar, that it was there in Central America where North and South tectonic plates meet, where there are great statues called the Atlans, that there was indeed some type of civilization that could be called Atlantean. Clearly the evidence is in Egypt of great structures beneath the sands of Giza, as well as the evidences of great structures beneath Gobi in the Far East, suggest that Atlantean models of higher intelligence were over the earth at a much earlier historic period, suggesting that Atlantis was a type of civilization rather than a specific place of people, technology, worship, and belief.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting.
All right, now that's what I was saying, guys. It's all the same belief system. When you start getting into the New Age, it all goes back to Atlantis. You see how he's saying there that, no, this is lost with Atlantis. Well, we're going back to Atlantis. That's what it is all about. The ancient Egyptians, all that, they tie it all together. And then when you start looking, and this is where guys like Dibble and stuff basically like, oh, Atlantis is some white supremacy thing and all that. Well, not really. It's just the way the stories go. You have the stories of the Maya when Quetzalcoatl came. He was a white guy with blonde hair, blue eyes, and riding a serpent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't they weren't trying to make anybody racially superior. It's just what the story said. So you have these white races coming out of Atlantis and going out and spreading these polytheism religions around the world. And it's still to this day, you see, it affects the thought within the occult societies. It's always goes back to Atlantis and these underground civilizations of these ascended masters. And it's all the religions around the world except for the Abrahamic ones.
Right.
It's
yes.
every single one of them. Yes. Whether it's in the East, in the West, in Scandinavia, our ancestors believed in the same thing. They just called it Thor and Loki instead of, Zeus and, and Apollo and all that type of stuff. And granted, that's not the same ones, but you see what I'm saying? It's just the same gods, the same pantheistic religion, the same Atlantean religion, let's call it, all over the world, besides the Abrahamic monotheistic religions. Every other one, the Greeks, the Romans, all of them had that same basis in this polytheism, except for the Abrahamic faith.
Right. Wow.
It all really stems back to Atlantis. It stems back to Atlantis and that priesthood that came out of there, according to the esoteric believers.
Wow. So, yeah, it makes sense, man, in a lot of ways, because, this was, to my understanding at least, this was their heyday. This was the truest of true golden ages when, your Nephilim were here, your Fallen were here, and this was,
Well, that's the story behind Atlantis. Don't know that's how it was founded, is that Poseidon, which would be like a watcher or a fallen angel, right? In the Christian mind, made it with a woman and it had 5 sets of twins.
Right.
He had 10 sets of twins. The oldest and most powerful ruling over Atlantis being, his name was Atlas. So that was the oldest. That would be the Titans, basically, with the Greek mindset.
Right.
So the direct. Yeah, well, not within the Greek mindset, but within, think about the first generation Nephilim being like the Titans. So I guess within the Christian mindset, linking it to the Greek. So to us, it would be like a first generation Nephilim, huge monsters. That's who ruled over the Atlantean Empire. So when you go back to it, it's really the same story as the Bible and the pre-flood world. It's just told from their perspective.
Exactly.
And so when Atlantis falls, which is when the flood happens, okay, when that happens, it's totally wiped off the earth. And so when you hear the golden age or the age of Atlantis and all that, just go think before the flood of Noah, because that's all it is. That's all they're talking about. Is these cultists and these Freemasons, they long for the golden age. They long for the days when the Nephilim kingship ruled from the earth. They long for those days. I don't know if you can go back and read about what was happening to human beings. It wasn't exactly great for us.
Doesn't sound good.
Just another link in the food chain, man.
Right, an item on the menu.
Not exactly a golden age for us.
Yeah, not something I think most people are going to be working their way back towards, bro. But that seems to be the goal. That seems to be the mission. And I don't know if this is because I'm not going to go as far to say that Hitler or other of these key individuals are direct descendants of these Rephaim, Nephilim, fallen angel type of individuals, or if they really think that they're going to get something out of it if they were to take the world back into that direction, that Atlantean golden age direction that they so seek for. I don't know what's in it for them, to be honest with you.
It's sad, bro. Well, hell, let's go back to the video, man. I didn't
Sure.
want to cut it off, but he's talking exactly what we've been talking about here. So, you're looking for those keywords like Atlantis and, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Where is the entrance to the inner earth? My feeling is that these are openings several 100 kilometers wide.
Giant holes that lead you into the inside of the earth.
One on the south pole. They may exist in a different dimension. They may be made visible at will or from time to time, depending on certain cosmic and terrestrial conditions. These are more of speculations. However, I know for sure,
Sure they
for
are.
example, polar flights are forbidden to fly straight over the pole. They always deviate away. After a very suspicious crash of a
So he's saying that all the airplanes that go over there are forbidden to fly over the certain area, and the one that did had some type of crash. Not the easiest thing to make out what he's saying.
Opening of the inner earth.
After Atlantis, only a few nations and river and the Hopi Indians knew of the entrances to huge underground cities.
Yes, now we've heard about that for sure during like Grand
They
Canyon, these
reported that
huge
shortly
cave
before the
systems
cyclical
underground.
end of humankind, the seed for the next humankind was brought to safety in the inner earth by human beings with white and bluish skin and golden angelic hair, who traveled in flying saucers from the inner earth. Last century, various scientists searched for the pole openings. Accordingly, the South Pole is supposed to be the head chakra of the Earth and have an enormous pole opening. The North Pole would be the root chakra. During this
Very
century,
interesting.
two great efforts were made.
Just a quick reminder, if you're just not coming in here, this is from the perspective of the non-Christians. Just to let you know what we're listening to. This is from the perspective of the non-Christians, okay? So when he's talking about these different entrances into Earth being different chakras and related to different energies and stuff, just wanted to make that clear.
To find these pole openings and to make contact with the extraterrestrial races who built the underground cities within the Earth. The first expedition was led by Admiral Byrd before the Second World War.
Right. Familiar
The
with
second
this.
was carried out by the secret Thule organization, which pulled the strings behind the Nazis. Both expeditions were successful. Byrd discovered the pole openings during an expedition for the USA.
All right, bro, that's good. Because this goes on forever, man. We could talk about this forever.
For sure, yeah. No, that's interesting nonetheless, though, man. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Here comes in from Phoenix Dragon, says the Thule and Vril Society. The Thule group of the Vril Society combined the political and philosophical ideals of the Order of the Illuminati, the Thulemite Theosophical Mysticism, and Teutonic Pan-Germanic Templars. Wrong picture. This one. I was good at it. Oh snap! If you've ever been in a world where you feel like something's wrong, this is a call. This is such a good song, bro. It's such a good jam. What is that? What the heck? Dude, there really are real Nazi UFOs? I thought we were playing around before.
No, there really are.
What? Oh, hold on, go back. Wait, what was that? Hold on, go back. Hold on. What was that?
The Galacta.
What the heck is that, bro?
The Galacta, bro. Yeah, if you're not aware of this, man, we really need to do a standalone video, bro. Yeah, are you aware of the Galacta?
No, it sounds like something you'd fight in Star Trek. I've never heard that word before.
It's the Bell, the Nazi Bell. Oh, bro, we got to do a standalone on this then. Yeah, yeah. This is the technology. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's let this video play out. It's not that long. Let's let that play out. Then we're gonna go to Maria Orsich and start talking about the Vril and Bronson. I didn't know you didn't know about the Galacta, so let's go ahead and call a little bit of an audible. We'll do some of this, but I believe this is gonna have to be a standalone episode, bro. You're gonna enjoy this.
Yeah, no, I'm very interested. I'm curious as to what this firmament dome type of structure is above up on the third one down. And very interesting. I've never seen this picture before. I've never seen this badge over here before. I don't know why it's making me think of the bad guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Never in history has science progressed
Go back
with
to that
such
quote.
giant leaps as in the early 20th century Germany. Such giant Never
Right
in
here?
history has
Yeah.
science progressed with such giant leaps as in the early
Alright, get back to
20th
that
century
quote.
Germany.
Right here?
The German submarine fleet is proud of having built for the Führer in another part of the world a Shangri-La on land, an impenetrable fortress.
What the heck?
Right. So where's Shangri-La?
Underground, I guess, man. This is insane.
Right. So this is talking about down in Antarctica.
Very interesting.
That's why I wanted to point that out. If you think that they didn't believe in all these underground cities and these ancient cultures and lands, and Hitler had no idea about it, well, they're calling it a Shangri-La. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not calling it, hey, it's a paradise. They're using the same terminology. That's what I mean. When you look at all the terminology and the speeches and everything all together, it's like, dude, you're not going to convince me that he didn't know about this. I mean, everything they talked about was along these lines and this thought. I mean, it's
Wow.
very, very blatant when you look at it, man.
Wow.
Never in history has science progressed with such giant leaps as in the early 20th century Germany. Never before have occult societies blossomed in such profusion. And never in history has one regime based its whole existence, its philosophy, and its science on the occult. And yet, in less than 2 decades since the end of the Great War, Germany had entered atomic and space age. Why were the Nazi scientists so successful? Is it true that their fringe teams experimented with anti-gravity, exotic propulsion systems, and cold fusion, and that they actually won the race for the atomic bomb? Hermann Orbert, one of the founding fathers of rocketry and astronautics, who was later employed by NASA, has confessed, "We were helped by people from other worlds." Another German in the United States, Willy Ley, was the first.
It's kind of that's a very big statement, bro. We were helped.
No, they were, man. And listen, a lot of the things that you think were scientific discoveries and everything else, going back all the way to the Greek philosophers, and when you get to the when heliocentrism, they all tell you they got the information from the daemon, or they channeled the information. Even Tesla, Nikola Tesla, even said that he channeled the information, got the information from the aether. So you're looking at contact with spiritual being. You know what I mean? You're looking at that information that's being directly given and channeled in, and they tell you this. going back to the Greeks and everything else, they will tell you this. That's where they get this information from, and that's how the Nazis jumped so fast in technology. I mean, Germans have always been great at math and engineering and all that type of stuff, but you don't make those kind of jumps. The kind of technology that they're using there, and talked about 0 point energy and stuff like that. There's just stuff that's space age that was jumped, from the 1930s to the 1940s. They jumped like, centuries in technology in that little bit of time because they were channeling it. They were given the technology. This wasn't something that was naturally done and naturally progressed to. No. This is artificially inseminated into the mindset and shot the technology up. It's such a huge curve of learning. It's not possible to do. It's just not possible. And they tell you it. I mean, it's not just me saying, "Oh, I feel this way." No, they tell you this. But it's a bigger thing than that. Go back to all these huge discoveries and go back and look at these Greek philosophers and scientists and see where they were getting their information. It was channeled. It was given to them.
Wow.
They're important to understand, to see, like, why were we given this information? Why are we being pushed in this direction? You know what I mean? Why do these entities care?
All right, what's in it for them?
It's all for a reason. It's all for a plan. And you heard he was brought over here to work for NASA. Yeah, that's where a lot of these guys went, is to NASA, and the Russians got a lot of them too. So you got to ask yourself, how much do you trust NASA? Right. You know what I mean? You have all these occultists that are channeling this information, that are working for Nazi Germany, that are now in the U.S.
Right. Their descendants are probably still here. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, here in Argentina, they're everywhere. Yeah, I mean, how many guys in Argentina are named Pedro Steinbach?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're everywhere, man. All right, let's finish this video up.
To shed light on German occult societies, such as the Thule Society, which included amongst its members the future Nazi leaders Himmler, Hess, and probably even Hitler. The Thule Society had a special branch for female mediums, employing remote viewing and other spiritual techniques.
Go back just a little bit of that chick. You look at her hair.
Yeah.
Now, we mentioned this a little bit last week, how within the Thule Society and Thule Society, they had these women that were mediums, and they believed their hair worked as a kind of antennae. To be able to communicate with these quote-unquote ascended masters.
Right.
Right. And even in the Bible, you have where it talks about women should cover their hair up and all that type of stuff. So there's a little bit of a reference to that in the Bible as well.
Talks about unless they tempt the angels, and it says that the hair is a woman's glory.
Right, unless it tempts the angels, they cover it up. So yeah, that's exactly right, man. So I just wanted to point that out and give it a good visual representation. My goodness, her hair is long.
Wow. Viewing and other spiritual techniques to obtain information from other galaxies and dimensions. This group was led by a woman called Maria Orsic, who reportedly received messages from another galaxy, from those who had once engineered the human race. Her mysterious drawings launched the search for new energy forms and resulted in experiments to manipulate gravity, space, and time. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of internet sites where the name of Maria Orsic can be encountered. And yet, the most important questions remain unanswered. Where did her visions come from, and where did they lead her? Was she behind the rise of Germany, or its ultimate fall? Did she, in fact, exist? My book is an attempt to recount what really happened, or might have happened.
Wow, this is the goddess of the devil, Hitler's medium. Wow. Wow, that was a cool video, man. Before we move on, at least give a shout out to the channel that put it out there. It's Phoenix Dragon on X. Here's your guy.
Yeah, big shout out. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, very, very cool. Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, Phoenix Dragon provided a couple of the clips tonight, man, so we do appreciate it.
No doubt. He's got one here. It's the first is the prototype skyship, The other one is U.S. Air Force Military Research Center in collaboration with NASA at Moffett Field, California. And then Thermoplane. And then Vril and the Thule Society.
The first identified flying object is no monster, and it certainly isn't a toy. The Skyship is a serious and practical attempt to solve the problem of fast but safe transport.
It's like a big oyster.
Its designer, John West, considers the 30-foot saucer has untold possibilities. But this all-British...
What's up, JT? Thanks for coming in here, man. I'm sorry if I missed your chat earlier. I did not see it sitting there. He says it's a psionic asset, I'm pretty sure is what, how you pronounce that word. Sorry if I missed your chat, my friend. I apologize.
Prototype will be a mere flea beside the Skyship he hopes to build, first an intermediate model of 200 feet, and then a jumbo of 700 feet diameter, if money is forthcoming. The test flight is radio controlled. Skyship number 1 maneuvers well on its 4 engines. Lift is provided by the non-inflammable gas helium.
So it's being carried with helium, okay.
The flying saucer design is no gimmick. The shape lends itself to easier handling, less wind resistance, and will enable the Skyship to land anywhere. At last, science is catching up with fiction.
It's insane. That's insane.
He hopes to...
Tatsächlich gibt es fliegende Untertassen aus irdischer Produktion. Hier sehen Sie zum Beispiel das
Okay, so this is the United States Air Force getting into one of these things.
Entwickelt wurde. In einem CIA-Memorandum heißt es, die Entwicklung des Avrocars basiere auf Ergebnissen,
oh wow, look at
die
that.
deutsche
That's pretty neat,
Wissenschaftler
bro.
während des Zweiten Weltkriegs erarbeitet hätten. Hier sehen Sie übrigens den einzigen Film, der 1960 über die streng geheimen Tests...
Oh dude, it looks just like something out of Star Wars.
Warum gab es Testflüge mit fliegenden Untertassen in den 50er Jahren, von denen im Untersuchungsbericht des Blue Book Projekts behauptet wird, sie würden gar nicht existieren?
Wow.
Look how old it is too, man.
Yeah, dude, this was, you know, jeez Louise. 80 years ago. 60 years ago.
First, an intermediate...
Okay, so that was the U.S. Air Force military in 1952 and 1961. Okay, I thought it was much older than that, excuse me. And then here's 1992. This is Project Thermoplane, as long as I'm clicking in the right buttons here. I don't have audio for this, so... Oh, geez, look at that. That's like the mothership. The thing's humongous. Wow. Now, surely over the years they didn't abandon all this, you know what I mean? Surely they've come up with more. Look at that go. 1939. That's insane. It's rising in the air. Wow, wow, wow. I've never seen this footage before. This is crazy. What a strange time. Man, that's insane. You can only imagine if they wouldn't have built just one of them if they got it to work. You know what I mean? They would have built many of them. So, goodness gracious. That's again shout out to Phoenix Dragon. Good video. That's cool. Wow. So where you stand on all of this right now, Austin? That's very, very interesting information, man. I don't have audio on you right now. I don't know if maybe perhaps you had muted your mic. Nope, I see your mouth moving, but I do not hear you. Don't have any audio from you at all. My headphones are on, and my OBS is not picking you up.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can, yeah.
You got me now?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
All right, fantastic. All right, great. Now, this is the red pill, okay? When you start digging into this subject right here, this was a major red pill for me. When you start digging into all of this advanced technology, the way the World War ended, the Antarctic Treaty, we're about to dig into some Admiral Byrd stuff, you start realizing the whole world actually is a stage, and that the governments of the world are working together more than what we realize. And what we're seeing is just what we're meant to see. You see all of this technology, and we're still fighting with mortars and stuff like that.
Right.
And you see what we had in the 1930s. It's all a big show, and we are cannon fodder for these elites.
Right.
The real power has stuff that we just cannot even imagine. So let's talk about this Antarctic stuff real quick. I know Admiral Byrd was beaten to death in the conspiracy community, so we'll talk about that some, and then well, I'll tell you what. Before we do that, before we get to the Antarctic, let's go back to the Vril Society. Let's talk about Maria Orsich, and let's talk a little background about her.
Sure. So I've got.
It'll be in the email.
Okay. All right. Got you. Okay. So this would have been probably this clip here. Yes, okay. According to the Vril Project, Maria Orsic from Zagreb, Croatia, was involved in the founding of the Vril Society and also established the spiritualist contact with the Aldebarans. Is that how you say that? I'm unfamiliar with that term. Let's see. See, in a later text which only circulates anonymously on the internet, the figure Maria Orsic is transformed from a minor character into a central protagonist. This text claims that she, a native Vienna, found all German society for metaphysics. Wow. Okay, so that would mean that some of the clips that we just saw of those crazy spaceships and stuff like that, she may have, been kind of the mind behind that, maybe the medium that got the information on how to tap into some of this.
Yeah.
And see,
now,
from it
in the email, there should be a Maria Orsic just a wiki. Let's pull that up real quick.
Sorry, I didn't see that in there.
Which is it's funny because I believe I have it in there. If I don't, I apologize. There should be a link to it somewhere. But the even her existence is contested, man.
This may be it.
On the
No, we've already seen this one before.
No, you could just Wikipedia her, man. That's
okay.
That's fine. Yeah,
let's
so
take her.
Let's just get a good base on what they say. Some of this is it's all conjecture really when you're dealing with her.
Got you. Yeah, I saw in that one video it said that she may not have even existed at all.
Right.
Let's see.
It's alright. We do Vril Society. That's cool. That's the same.
Yeah. Very interesting. Try to come down here and at least just find her on here. Uh-oh. That's a common face.
Yep,
we've seen her before.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't lying to you guys. This is where it comes from. It's right down the line.
Right.
I know it sounds fanciful that they take it all the way back to Atlantis, but that is 100% real. They really do.
And here they are with Warner von Braun.
Yeah. You cannot get away from it.
Yeah.
Like the line goes straight from like this Atlantis and this theosophy belief system goes straight from antiquity all the way to NASA.
Mm-hmm.
So, just so you know, man, that this is where the line goes to. This is the final resting spot of these occultists and these Nazis, and they didn't leave.
Right, exactly. It did exactly what we said in the beginning, was just, you change groups, change names, change appearance, still the same thing at its core. So this reads other variations. Sorry.
Hey, real quick, what's terrifying is to realize how much money we've given them, how much funding we've given these Nazis over NASA. I mean, imagine all the horrible things they've been able to accomplish under the radar with the amount of money we've dumped into that.
Trillions.
I mean, it's the amount of things that they've been able to do and the amount of deep underground military bases they've been able to establish, along with their belief system in these advanced civilizations under the earth. I mean, the mind can run wild with what they've been able to accomplish with the amount of fun the American people have given them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who knows, man? Other variations of the legend focus more strongly on the alleged role of a woman who was already mentioned in 1992 in the Vril Project. Also later at Holy was mentioned a medium by the name of Maria Orsic. According to the Vril Project, she was from Croatia and was involved in the founding of the Vril Society and also established a spiritual contact with the Aldebarans. In a later text, which only circulates anonymously on the internet, the figure Maria Orsic is transformed from a minor character into a central protagonist. This would make a great TV show. I'm just saying. Yeah. The text claims that Maria Orsic, a native of Vienna, founded All German Society for Metaphysics in Munich of 1919 and 1921, which was linked to the Vril Society. According to this text, the originally only female members of the society were involved with magical energies that were connected to the Vril force. The protest against the short hair fashion in the 1920s and the wearing of long hairstyles played an important role in connection with the use of these vibrational magical energies. These energies were also used to power so-called otherworldly flying machines. There it is. Crazy.
Well, they were the first ones to come up with these flying machines, but then the Vedic text in India and the Hindu faith, you have Vimanas that were mentioned a long time ago. And you talk about these Vimanas, and then you take this mindset that, hey, the Atlanteans came and they established the Egyptian culture and all that, and you think the Scythians were descendants from them, and they came down and brought the Vedic languages, Sanskrit, and their belief system down there. So they take it all the way back to, hey, man, these are Atlantean flying machines that are used. They use this Vril to power it. It's not the Nazis that came up with this. This is stuff that goes back to antiquity.
Yeah.
The belief system is rooted in actual like solid stuff that goes back a long time. I know it sounds crazy, especially in our, in the West, we have such a secular mindset, but these guys really believed it, and there were ancient texts and they go back and confirm what they were searching for. So they were not doing this without any kind of founding. There was legends about this going back thousands of years.
Yeah, man. That's makes you wonder when and if this is ever going to come out to the public. You know what I mean? Will it ever come out to where? Sorry, that's my mistake. Let me put you back up there. Will it ever come out? I mean, we always said, flying cars would be a thing by 2005, and here we are without flying cars, but it seems like they may have had them back in 1939.
Yeah, there's, like you said earlier, it's a big club and we're not in it. We get drip-fed whatever technology that the elite fit for us to have to be more efficient slaves, man.
Exactly.
We're not going to get the free energy. We're not going to get the, teleportation devices. We're not going to get the life extension stuff. That's saved for the elite, and will be drip fed what as we need it. Once they get that mark of the beast fully developed, man, that life extension will come available to the public real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's all a big play, man. Like we said, the world's a stage, and this is the key to really show it to you, to see what these technologies were and see how these governments all work together to hide. They took in Nazis to hide this technology, to hide what they're doing in Antarctica. They all sign on to the Antarctic Treaty, and while on the world stage, we're all enemies and we're all fighting, but nobody ever violates that treaty. And it seems like they all get along. All that really matters. All the countries of the world, for the most part, went along with the COVID stuff, right in lockstep. So, to right in lockstep, you have to have someone above you that's really pulling the strings and really calling the shots. Somebody powerful enough that all of the countries of the world have to listen to. So, just watch how everything moves. When the chips are really down on the table, everything moves in unison. So, if you're looking for a world government to emerge, sir, it's been here.
Exactly.
We just don't see it yet. So, like I said, this whole thing right here with the Vril and Antarctica and these hidden technologies and the Operation Paperclip, it's the red pill to show that the world is a stage and everybody's in on it except for us.
Exactly.
So don't fall for the propaganda and fall for hating your fellow man and fall for, all the kind of junk they try to give you in here. Well, if you're not for Israel, you must be for Hamas. And if you care about Palestinian kids, you must be anti-Semitic. Or what do you mean you don't want Ukrainians to fight until none of them left? You must be unpatriotic. Like, don't fall for this stuff. And that Russia's the big old bad guy. Listen, all these governments of the world are in on it. And all the citizens of the world are just plebs that are being used like pawns. We are all in this together. We are all slaves together to this hidden system, man. So, like I said, I don't want to go on too big of a rant, but really, when you look into this and start expanding on it and thinking about what does it really matter, it really shows that we're in this together and that there is a cabal that runs this place and they work in lockstep together, regardless of what they show you.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very well said, and I'm glad you went on that, man. There's, I believe one day it was Gary Wayne that I heard explaining some of the old pantheons about how, there's many, many gods, lowercase g, of course, these gods who are, they reign over this land or they reign over this section of the sea. And there's one that's above them all who's just kind of this careless god. He doesn't really care. You guys can do whatever you want. And of course, this is, we would probably refer to as, the adversary, Satan or whatever. And all these gods can do as they please. Until the big boss stands up and tells them all what they have to do. And it reminds me, these countries that argue and fight and war against each other until COVID, until the Antarctic Treaty, until XYZ come into place, it reminds me of, you're my brother. We all argued and fought and had, played games and made secret alliances with each other. And, it was all one big, game until mom or dad stepped in and got everybody in line. And then in which case we all walked foot and step in line to the way that we were told to go. The world seems to be on the exact same type of game. You know what I mean? You're allowed to play the game as you will, but one thing that we are all going to abide by is that when mom and dad speak, we're going to follow those rules, because I'm sure if you don't follow, punishment's probably going to be severe. Look at JFK.
Right, yeah.
So...
Yeah,
wow.
They showed the whole world who's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. We'll go ahead and get back into this other clip there, but that's very well said, man. I liked everything you had to say about that. Very nice. All right, so this is coming in from. Hold on, let me highlight the name so you guys can see. This is B, the Quantum Tumbler. So shout out to that person. Make sure you check them out, and let's take a look at what this says. So this says the real reason the Nazis went to Antarctica. They weren't retreating, they were retrieving something. The Nazis believed Antarctica concealed the remains of a pre-flood, would be antediluvian civilization, one powered by etheric force known as Vril. The Thule and the Vril societies didn't dabble in mysticism, they decoded ancient tech blueprints from Sumer, Tibet, and Atlantis. When, in 1938, they went south. They called it New Schwabenland. They found warm caverns, magnetic anomalies, structures buried in ice, and in 1947, the U.S. sent Admiral Byrd with 13 ships, 33 aircraft, 4,700 troops. The mission: Operation High Jump. The official story: training. Official outcome: craft that outran jets, tech that they could not explain. He returned silent, the files were sealed, and you can ask yourself why. That's a good post.
Right, so
I like the way he
new-
worded that.
The new Schwabenland was that quote that I had you pause on earlier, where they had built the Shangri-La for the Fuhrer.
Right.
That's New Schwabenland, and that's down in Antarctica. And we can pull up where that is and show the folks if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
But what happened was, all right, no, I'd like you to highlight something before you leave the page. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Before you leave the page, could you highlight how many troops and stuff went with Admiral Byrd? Let's highlight that in 1947. There you go. So 13 ships, 33 aircraft. Sorry, I can't see it now. 13 ships, 33 aircraft, and how many? 4,700 troops. It was supposed to be a scientific expedition, so you needed all that for a scientific expedition.
Wow, yeah, good point.
They went down there hunting New Schwabenland, and what seems to have happened is they got their butts thoroughly kicked, and they got sent back with their tail between their legs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We were supposed to be the big baddies out there. The U.S. was basically, after World War II, was really besides Russia, the only power. And went down there with what was supposed to be the top of the line technology and warcraft, and got our butts kicked thoroughly and came back with our tail between our legs. Now, let's pull up the clip. It's from the 1950s, okay? After this happens, okay, we have this clip from the 1950s to where all of these craft come and just sit over the White House. I'd like to show that to everybody. I want people to see this so they can get the message, okay? This was a message. I didn't send it to you. You have to look it up.
Okay, sure.
This is a message being sent, okay? So we go down there and get our butts kicked. So let's you can go to YouTube UFOs over the White House 1950s. There you go. All right, let's bring it down, guys.
(1952) July 12th. Very interesting.
All right. Now, I'd like you to look up there up top. Look up Battle of California.
Central Frank 25.
You said Battle of California.
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah. Battle of LA.
February 24th, 1942, Los Angeles, California. It's less than 3 months since the Japanese Imperial Fleet launched a surprise attack on American forces at Pearl Harbor, killing 2,400 and bringing the United States fully into World War II. On the home front, the possibility of another attack on American soil is now very real, especially in the nation's biggest coastal cities.
There's widespread fear that Japan will attack the U.S. mainland next, and the U.S. military has vowed never to be caught off guard again.
So to bolster its defenses, anti-aircraft guns have been placed all around the city, bunkers have been built, and air raid protocols have been drilled into the population.
After Pearl Harbor, the United States has been practicing blackout drills in every coastal city out of fear of an aerial attack.
The purpose of these blackouts is so that enemy planes can't see the lights of the city.
The enemy might send hundreds of bombers to fly towards American cities and drop bombs almost indiscriminately across any urban zone. At night, it's very hard to engage in aerial navigation. However, the lights of a city could make it very obvious if you were near your target.
By now, Los Angeles has been through so many blackouts, the LA Times has nicknamed it the City of Shadows.
The city's ordeal begins with a typical blackout drill on the night of February 24th, 1942.
What a strange time to be alive.
No lights anywhere. Not a cigarette is allowed to be lit on the street for fear of giving away any type of location to a potential enemy.
Wow.
Even all the radio stations in LA go completely silent.
I had no idea.
At 10:23 p.m., the blackout is lifted, and Angelinos go to bed thinking it was just another drill. But at 2:21 in the morning, LA residents wake to the scream of air raid sirens. And the city is again thrust into darkness.
Wow. Searchlights start sweeping over the skies. And you have all of these people starting to run out of their homes trying to see what it is that they're looking at.
It's becoming increasingly clear whatever's happening in Los Angeles isn't just another drill. At 3:06 a.m., the searchlights converge on a target over Culver City, and Los Angeles erupts.
The 37th Coast Artillery Brigade
They just start
firing
shooting?
12-pounder guns that lob 3-inch shells up into the atmosphere. The sound is enormous. A lot of the people mistake it for the impact of bombs striking the Earth from enemy attack.
You can only imagine what the sky had to have looked like that night. You've got these orange tracer lights in the air, bursts in the sky. No one had ever seen anything like this in the United States. To a lot of people in Los Angeles, it seems like it's the end of the world, like it's doomsday.
Yeah, this is it.
Phone calls flood the city's information lines with wildly differing accounts of sightings in the sky.
Eyewitness reports start pouring into military authorities. We have reports of hundreds of enemy aircraft flying
This is
overhead.
fascinating.
We have reports of aircraft crashing throughout the Los Angeles area, presumably shot down by air defenses.
The only lights you've got are the searchlights and the anti-aircraft guns firing, which just add to the sense that they are in a war zone. This is absolute pandemonium. A lot of people are just trying to get the hell out of there.
Right.
They're piling into cars.
Oh, dude.
And driving.
I bet it was
There's
mania.
gridlock. 5 people are killed. 3 fatalities as a result of traffic accidents in the chaos. And 2 people die of stress-induced heart attacks. And it's pitch black.
But nothing's been shot down. No bombs have been dropped. What's the story? What actually happened?
Military command orders a ceasefire at 4:14 a.m.
Shot for an
They
hour
officially
straight.
lift the blackout at 7:25 a.m. Daylight brings more questions than answers, as local newspapers print a flurry of conflicting reports.
The most iconic image from this event
Yo.
is a photograph that appears in the newspaper with 8 spotlights shining up into the sky on this object that's floating in the middle. You
Why
can't really
have I
make out
never
what the
seen
object
this?
is because it's brightened up by all the spotlights.
Right.
But not even the military can agree on what, if anything,
All right, that's
was
good
there.
there, bro.
What the heck, bro? They shot for an hour straight. That's insane.
Right.
I've never heard of this before.
Well, man, let's we can put the one over the UFOs coming over the U.S. and we can put that back up, man. This is what I mean. Like they were encountering these things in the 40s, right there,
Central
and then
Frank,
after World War II, we go down to New Schwabenland, go down to the Antarctic to try and find out what's going on down there. We get our butts kicked. We come back here, and then in 1952, you see them flying right over the White House. Couldn't do anything with them in California. Can't do anything about them going over the White House. That is a message.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, we can fly right over your most important buildings.
We can do whatever we want, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is the message, okay? That's the people that you see right there, the forces that command those ships flying over the White House, those are the ones calling the shots. Everything else you see is a dog and pony show.
Very interesting indeed.
And you had in World War II, you had Nazi Germany in league looking for these guys and in league with them towards the end. I truly believe that they became in contact with some of these individuals. And I believe who they're coming in contact with, these ancient civilizations, are the remainders of the Nephilim and Rephaim that are underneath there.
Right.
And it talks about in Revelation, the nations of the earth come together to make war with God. Well, you would need weapons of war to make war, right? So it would seem to me, you would take this civilization, these Nazi scientists, and you can go back and forth between the inner Earth and between here and take supplies or whatever. And if you have that kind of power, you have your minions that are in power here and moving things around for you on the surface and funneling resources and materials down there to make weapons of war. You know, this is the kind of things that I think about when I hear this.
Absolutely.
Is what's going on under the earth? What's going on with these entities? I mean, we're looking at clips from the 40s, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. I mean, that was 70 years ago, 80, 90 years ago. We're looking at, and I mean, technology that the public is able to have now is so far-fetched from then, and we still don't have access to some of the stuff we're seeing from then. That just, it's like, are they hundreds of years ahead of us? Are these elite societies that far ahead of us? You start thinking about books like The Breakaway Civilization, and are we already living in that, to where we have a civilization that we see every day, and then a breakaway civilization with the technological elites that have broken away from us anyway?
I think about that all the time.
It's wild to think about, but the more you ponder on it, the more it seems like that's the reality of it.
Right.
Especially when you see this technology from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and it blows us away.
Yeah.
It was 90 years ago, some of that.
Right.
It's 90 years ago. As Christians, we're dealing with a powerful enemy here. We got to start dealing with spiritual warfare and fighting against this.
Yes.
You know, the Lord has power over all things. I think a lot of the problem with us is we don't even know what we're praying against.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Good point.
Praying against stuff that's out of like a science fiction novel or something. You know what I mean? We're dealing with real life Lex Luthor bad guys, Marvel bad guys, Thanos level evil people here, man.
Exactly.
And we show that every week on Ancient Decks. You got guys talking about humans are programmable animals, and we're going to do whatever we want with you. You're going to eat the bugs and be happy. And these are the type of people in charge, man. And it's a scary thing. And then you factor into the technological advancements and what they have on us, and it's like, man, what we see every day and the things we're wowed by with our military stuff is nothing. It's absolutely nothing compared to what's really out there.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. And I think you bring up a good point talking about spiritual warfare, and that, we must armor up, stay strong within the Word of God, the sharp sword, wearing the full armor, and that's about all you can do about this one, man. I mean, they're shooting them with heavy artillery guns, and then nothing's happening. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what are you supposed to do? It sucks, man, because I've spent half of my life training in martial arts. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Fighting against a Rephaim alien who can walk through walls and read minds, and you know what I mean? What am I supposed to do to that? All I've got is Jesus Christ. It's like you said earlier. It's our white pill. It is truly our only hope. There's just nothing else out there.
It's the only white pill, man. It's the only white pill. Even if you want to fall under other religions, like in Islam, you do not have a guarantee at salvation. No, you don't. There's no guarantee. I mean, martyrdom, really, if that's the sect that you prescribe to, really is the only guarantee at salvation. You know what I mean? If you look at Judaism, we talked about all the other religions kind of branching from that, theosophy kind of background, that Vedic culture and stuff that came down into India. A lot of those come from that. But if we're talking about the other side, the ones that don't come from that, the Abrahamic religions, really the only one where you're promised eternity is through Jesus.
Right.
I mean, in Judaism, you're still waiting for a Messiah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you buy into one of the modern messiahs, or like the Sabbatai Zebi or stuff like that. And when you get into that, it's real awful stuff.
Right.
I mean, if you're looking for the light and looking for goodness, and you're looking at a path to salvation, really, there's only one that's laid out. There's really one that's laid out, and that's Christ. It's the only white one.
Right.
no matter how you look at it. If you're looking from a historical standpoint or a conspiratorial standpoint or from a religious standpoint, really that's the only guaranteed path. And if we're wrong, there's not any hope for anybody.
Yeah, no, we're all screwed at that point. You might as well join them.
Yeah, really.
You know what I mean? Really, truly.
Not for anybody unless you want to be a suicide bomber. How else you gonna get to paradise? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's very convoluted, man. So if we're wrong, I mean, everybody's in a lot of trouble. So I pray and I have faith that we're right, and we trust in Jesus Christ, and we take that white pill, because without it, man, it's nothing but nihilism.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, I tell you what, bro, I really, really enjoyed doing this show with you tonight. I had so much fun doing it. Guys, we have nothing but just utter gratitude to those of you who are willing to hang out with us on your holiday weekend. You could be doing anything else in the world right now, and yet you want to hang out here and learn about conspiracy theories and kick it with us. Man, that is just the coolest thing in the world, bro. I just can't believe it. There was for quite some time, you know, we sit around like 14, 15 viewers over there on Rumble. We've hung out around 10 viewers on YouTube the majority of the night, and that just means,
cool.
Yeah, that means the world to me, man.
I honestly didn't think anybody come and hang out tonight, and I thought we'd just be putting this up here for people to check out on the ride home for vacation or something.
Yeah.
And we love doing that, because we did that ourselves, man. When we're riding, we look for cool videos and stuff to check out. So if that's you out there, we appreciate it, man. That's cool to pass it along to give you guys something to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out on your weekend. Like I said, this was more of a surface level of the Thule Society, and to give a good idea of what it's talking about. Bronson, I think this is something we'll revisit, like hidden Nazi technology or something. We'll do something cool with it.
Yeah, it's just too much here.
Video. There's so much here, and it's a holiday weekend. I don't want to keep anybody else any longer. But really, guys, we appreciate you coming out and hanging out on the holiday weekends with us. If you have not checked out the Biblical Cosmology video, it is worth your time. So we talk about a video you might want to watch on the travel home. Check that out.
Absolutely.
Definitely good stuff there. Bronson did a great job with it. And coming up this week, we have an interview. Hopefully we can get that edited in this week. And then we have our Sodom and Gomorrah video coming up, our Genesis 19 commentary. We're going to get back rolling with that. So be looking for that coming up. And really, from me and Bronson, the whole Ancient Echoes families, our families, this Memorial Day weekend here in the U.S., we want to say we love you guys, and we appreciate you coming out, and appreciate you watching the videos and sharing them out. Make sure you do like and share all the videos. Join us on X. Follow us over there. To you Rumble guys, we really appreciate you guys coming out. We have several videos that are going to be dropped on Rumble this week in the next couple days, so be checking that out. If you're Rumble exclusive, you'll see some things that you have not seen before over there. So that's all for me, guys. Anything for you, Bronson, before we get out of here?
No, man. No, absolutely. You did such a good job, man, walking us through that tonight, bro. And wow, yeah. If we do an actual video on this in the long run, man, that'll be a really, really fun one to do. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Oh, it's gonna be killer.
Yeah, and I'll be looking forward to being back on here next Sunday at 8 p.m. the way that we always do, Eastern time. And yeah, with that, man, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Happy Memorial Day, and we'll see you guys next time on Ancient Echoes.